All right. And we're back. Welcome to the deadline day show here on Daily Gooner pod. I am Raphael, joining you from the United States, and of course, joining us on transfer day, deadline day from England, new face in the chair. Welcome to Jacob Weeks. Welcome back, Jacob.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to be here. Good to be here. And of course, our perennials, Sam and Ryan. Welcome back, Sam.
Hello, mate.
And Ryan.
Hello, sir.
All right. We just finished before we reset conversation with James Benge. We're going to bring you in, Jacob, to kind of catch you up, get your 2 cents on this. Arsenal has acquired a right back, and our consensus here, and I think consensus for most people in the Arsenal world, was what took so long. We were just dying those first 3 matches, watching clubs work our right side. Long overdue.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we know what took too long. We couldn't sell or get rid of a player until this current moment of time. So now that it's happening, they've finally pulled the trigger. And yeah, it's probably the position that we needed most. I know some will have their debates on that, and there are a couple of positions up for grab. But as we've said before, when you've got 3, potentially 4 right backs and none of them make the cut, it's a position you need to fill, and fill fast.
All right. Gentlemen, any inklings, anything percolating on the board? Any more outgoings? I mean, there was some speculation that Eddie Nketiah could go, some speculation that Ainsley Maitland-Niles could go. Word this morning is Arsenal was quote unquote waiting for significant offers or acceptable offers to come in for both of those, or else they're going to remain at the club. Ryan, let's talk about this. Sam and I were discussing this offline, and I'll bring him in for his 2 cents before this. But it does seem word indication that it was not the clubs that scuttled Nketiah's move to Crystal Palace. It seemed that Arsenal and Crystal Palace had worked out an agreement on cost. It was Nketiah and his agent agreeing with Palace on wages that put that off. In which case, it seems that the move for Tammy Abraham was blocked not by the club, but by the player.
Yeah, there was I think it was from the press association this morning that Eddie failed to agree personal terms with Palace. Arsenal had agreed a fee with Palace, and it just didn't go through. So all of our in our group chats, we're moaning about the club. They're not doing enough. Blah 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 blah. Looks like they're being hamstrung by certain players, and from what I can tell, Eddie feels he could probably get more money as a free agent than if he was to move now. So unless we sign him to an extension and send him on loan, I can't see him leaving. Probably sign a pre-contract in January for a move abroad, because I know teams abroad like to pay significant signing on fees on free transfers. So I think that would be the likeliest case for Eddie.
And that's, Sam, that's kind of doubly disappointing, because it seems like we talk about the illogic of all these moves. I'm trying to understand Nketiah's logic. Staying at Arsenal, maybe his wages will be significant compared to where he might go, but he's not going to play. He's not going to raise his value. So maybe he signs a pre-contract in January. But in the meantime, I can't see him getting much playing time, given that Arsenal have to start winning matches. And that means Aubameyang's going to be the striker.
Yeah. Failing that, it'll be Lacazette. And I'm not being funny, if you're giving me the option out of Nketiah and Balogun to come off the bench, I'm probably going with Balogun because he's got a better all-round play. But it's a confusing one from Eddie, really. Well, I say it's from Eddie. It's probably down to his agency, because they're a pain in the ass. But with him, it's like he knows he needs to leave to further his career. bottom line, he needs to start playing at his age. He's essentially going to waste another year of his career for what? A few extra thousands in a year's time, 6 months' time. It's it's just not logical to me. If Palace are there offering you money, yes, you want slightly higher wage and a higher sign-on fee, but you've got to take stock of where you are as a player. Realistically, he's had what 40 odd games, 50 odd games in the first team, and 8 goals. What level striker are you? Because that's not telling me you're elite. You're elite in youth level, not not senior level. And the fact of the matter is well, if he comes on at Arsenal, if he stays, I suspect he could get a hammering from the crowd.
True. I mean, this is a fickle crowd. I mean, Jacob, and we know this, but again, to stay with this, he's turned down moves to Southampton, it seems. He's turned or Brighton, and now it seems Palace. This is we're starting to see a pattern here with some of the younger players. You know, we talk about entitlement, we talk about culture, but we saw this with Guendouzi before he left. Now we're seeing it with Nketiah. I think we're seeing it a little bit with Ainsley Maitland-Niles with, you know, the really inflammatory statement he put out on Twitter yesterday, which is not the sign of a, this is my opinion here, not the sign of a mature player. You don't air your dirty laundry on social media if you want to help yourself find a better job. But then it's not just young players. We saw it last year with some of the senior players like Ozil and Mustafi. It's just more evidence that the culture, the around this club is still in serious need of a reset.
Yeah. Where's these young players most likely picked it up from? It probably is the older players, which we have finally removed from the club, more or less. Obviously, we had to cut contracts, just pay them off to get rid of them. It wasn't ideal. But Arteta's been saying since day one he has to change the culture of the club. And getting these players out the door is a big step to it. Hopefully the next wave to come through, whether that's Aziz, etc., they'll be looking at the ones who have wanted to stay, wanted to fight for the club, wanted to do their best, and even if not for the club, for their own careers. Whereas Nketiah and Guendouzi, they've picked their attitudes up from Ozil, Mustafi, Kolasinac, etc. You know, well-known reports of how that has gone down. So it's disappointing to see players not wanting to go and kick on with their careers and just staying around, refusing certain offers because they're not, you know, a high enough profile for them. But then you've seen other players from Arsenal, from other clubs, take that perceived step down, have a really good career, and then build themselves back up. You know, Serge Gnabry is a great example of that. Sometimes you've got to just build yourself up and build that career. So the fact that these players aren't willing to do it it's a shame for them, because some of them could have good, you know, Premier League careers, probably not at the top level, but they could have good Premier League careers, or they could mess up their whole reputation and have a very average, you know, dropping down for the league sort of career.
And Ryan, I think Sam put his finger on something very important. We talked about this in the first hour of the program. This is not simply a matter of Eddie Nketiah getting playing time, not getting playing time. This club had to work really hard to get Balogun to sign an extension last year. And probably his fear was that he would not get playing time. And now it looks like he will. He was the starter against Brentford, kind of by default because of COVID. But if Nketiah is still around, it tempts... that could play right into Balogun's concerns about his development. And obviously, if whoever the manager is, you're Mikel Arteta, or, you know, who knows who the manager will be 3 or 4 months down the road. But this is an asset. The club worked very hard to keep him. They want to develop him. It seems that his ceiling appears to be higher than Nketiah's. You don't want to mess that up either, because this is having a ripple effect.
Yeah, and I think it's going to have a massive effect on players signing contracts in the future, because obviously the club have made Balogun promises. They've made him assurances that he's going to play in the first team and get obviously chances to start and play first team minutes. And if you've got Aubameyang, who looks likely to play through the middle as the first choice, Lacazette's not leaving. He's going to see out his contract. So that's the second choice. And then it's a toss-up between Eddie Nketiah and Balogun. And if you want the experience of playing at the top level, do you go with obviously that experience, or do you go with giving Balogun the minutes and potentially not winning the game because he hasn't got the experience of playing at the top level? So it's a strange one. Me personally, I would risk the goals for Balogun's experience. I think he's, as you said, his ceiling is higher than Eddie's. Eddie's not going to be here after next summer, so if I was Arteta now, I would be telling Eddie, look, your fourth choice, you're not going to play any minutes at all. If any, you're probably going to be in the under-23s, and then just play Balogun in the cup games and games that we've essentially won already, if we ever get to win a game.
Sam, isn't that a conversation that should have been had earlier? It seems that was a conversation Arteta had with Joe Willock when he was showing some reluctance to go to Newcastle. He was informed, you're not going to get the playing time you want here. It kind of puts him in a position of having to choose, doesn't it? I mean, now Balogun, you want to develop Balogun, you need him to get playing time. If Eddie is staying, might Arsenal right now be fielding phone calls of loans for Balogun, looking at the long-term health, and not only for him, but for the club?
It's a difficult one, because on one hand, you'd say yes, because you want him to get them consistent minutes across this season. But on the other hand, for me, I would probably prioritise Balogun over Lacazette and Nketiah, because essentially he's your future in that position. So you're going to have Lacazette going for nothing because he's happy to sit on the contract and not bother trying to move. You've got Nketiah doing exactly the same. In my mind, I'd say, okay, guys, if you want to do that, sit on your contracts, but you're not playing this season. You'll only be in dire situations. But it's just difficult in terms of how you want to look at it, really, because, as I say, it's either one or the other. You go with the experience or you go with youth, and for me, it's youth. I can stomach mistakes by youth. Can't keep stomaching the mistakes by these overpaid idiots that sit on contracts.
All right, so Jacob, let's go back. Let's again recap of your, his top of the hour. Those of you who are catching up with us, Arsenal today, one outgoing at right back. Hector Bellerin announced Real Betis coming in. Takahiro Tomiyasu, that's my tongue twister for the day, from Bologna, Serie A, to be the right back. Jacob, what does that change for Arsenal's lineup? It seems finally, here's a back four. Arsenal have finally reassembled. And the back five, let's put Ramsdale in that. In this last two windows, here's Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, White. Those three acquired this window. And then you've got Gabriel, who hopefully will be ready when this break is over. And of course, Kieran Tierney. That's Arteta's back.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point you can class the entire team as Arteta's, because I think pretty much he's either signed or offered them new deals at this point. So, but particularly in that back five, it's been completely revamped. Tierney is the only one lasting from the previous era, and I think he's the only one that any of us would have voted to keep anyway. So yeah,
True.
we certainly, this playing out from the back, how he wants to build up. Now it is Arteta to put those tactics in place and work with the players he's got. He has now chosen these. So it'd be interesting to see how he plays. It looks like he is going to stick with that right back who's not going to get forward. lots of people have opinions about that with Pepe and Saka cutting inside and not having that space on the width. But then we've got Odegaard for that. So I think we're going to have Tierney given the freedom and have 3 players sitting deep. What Tomiyasu particularly adds in my mind from looking at it, he's got quite good aerial duels one. So not only from he's going to be able to defend from the wide areas and help us in there, set pieces and that, we've now got another presence in the box who can, win the ball in the air and get rid of it, which David Luiz was our best player at last season. We've now got someone who can come in and kind of fill that role as well. So he's taking over that right back and he's helping us on the set pieces as well. So kind of fitting 2 areas with 1 stone.
Ryan, expand on that a little bit. Tomiyasu's not the Tierney style. He's not going to be bombing forward. As he said, as Jacob was saying, he's going to be more of a player who kind of tucks in as that 3rd defender. What does that do? We saw Arsenal was very left-sided in their early matches, had a lot of trouble generating anything down the middle, nothing on the right side. Pepe is just kind of sitting out there lonely on an island. Martin Odegaard's back. Okay, their first match together was against City. They didn't have much of the ball. Really, not, with Xhaka's red card, not much of a chance to them to build anything. But going forward, how do those 2 work? And what does Arsenal do with them to build a balanced attack, which we have yet to see this season?
I think where we've signed Ben White and his aerial duels, they don't stack up really well against other centre-backs at Arsenal. What it does for him means Tomiyasu can push inside and that he can win those headers when the ball is played long. So they can kind of swap. So if Ben White has the big striker on him, Ben White can go to the right back area, Tomiyasu come inside and fight for the ball. Because I think Tomiyasu is actually 6'2", 6'3".
6'2",
which is
3, I think.
Yeah, he's massive. So they can interchange when the ball is being played long. So when we played Burnley away after the international break, when they're kicking long to their big bastards up front, Tomiyasu can deal with it. Gabriel can deal with it, and Ben White can come outside, which then stops. We don't have to drop Ben White for those sort of games, and we can still play out how we want. Which also, as you wanted me to explain, going forward, means Odegaard loves drifting in that position. When we've seen so far this towards the end of last season and this season, is when he had Chambers behind him, Odegaard and Pepe formed a really, really good partnership because Chambers kind of sat back, let them 2 interchange. Whereas when you see Bellerin playing and he's flying up the right-hand side, inside or outside, they kind of all getting in the same place. They're all taking each other's spaces. But with Tomiyasu staying back, chilling out, ready for the counter-attack, Odegaard and Pepe or Saka, whoever's playing on the right, can form a link up there in that right hand half space and really go to town on the left back. Because if Tomiyasu's not pushing forward, their left winger's not coming back. So there's a lot more space on the right hand side. And I know James Bench said before we went on a break that we're going to be completely left hand reliant. I don't agree with that. I think we're going to be very balanced now. I think Odegaard going to the right to help Saka or Pepe. Smith Rowe coming inside from the left with Tierney flying on the outside. I think that's a good balance that we'll have with depending who plays in the middle, Lokonga or Xhaka with Partey. So I think we're going to be a lot more balanced now than what we were.
Right. Sam, picking up, going further with that. No points, no goals, very few shots on goal. I think 5 in 3 matches. Arteta has no margin for error now. He's got some, would look on paper like winnable games, starting with Norwich once this international break is over. He can't really afford to dither if he wants lineup changes. Now we saw Ramsdale, and then granted it was a cup match against West Brom, but be very effective at releasing pressure with his distribution, which is one of the reasons he was acquired. We talked about these 5 new players. Well, Tierney aside, the 4 new players that Arteta's brought in, from Gabriel, White, Tomiyasu, and now Ramsdale. Is it time to just do that? He's got the rest of this 2 weeks to insert them. Is it just time to say, okay, I can't play favorites. I've got to win. If these are the people I feel are the best, these are my people. They start playing, and they start playing now.
Yep, strongest team only. There's no two ways about it, because I know a lot of people already on the Arteta out wagon. So I think for me, anything other than a win at Norwich, and if it's a draw or a loss, I'll be joining them on the out trail. But I think right now, in terms of the players that are there and the players that Arteta has brought in, and say these are the players I want to play my type of football, play them. None of this, oh, he's an international, I've got to keep his value, blah, blah, blah. If you're not fitting the system, you don't play. It's as simple as that. Had enough of Arsenal doing square pegs in round holes, because it doesn't work. We've seen it with Chambers, doesn't work. Holding doesn't work. So are you going to then therefore change your philosophy to accommodate these players making the same mistakes time and time again? Or are you going to get players in, which we have done, and they've been identified for that philosophy, and get going on that aspect? Because I think that's where we need to go now.
Okay. And Jacob, we were talking about this before we came back on the air. It does seem that Arteta now has his starting 11. Not much depth. We'll get to that a little later. But he has his starting 11, that back 5. And he's going to have, we're hoping Partey's back, and either Jacques or Lokonga. And then up front, he can choose between, Pepe, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Saka, Lacazette. Aubameyang. This is his club now, and those 11, I have to think, or the best 11, as Sam was saying, and it finally looks like they're going to be healthy. At least we hope. Ben White will be back after this break, after his COVID spell, but we'll finally get to see all the pieces together at once, and it couldn't come fast enough.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned before, everyone in this, what we believe will be the starting 11, or however everyone believes starting 11, Arteta has either signed, or he's been there while they've been offered a new deal. So Tierney's had a new deal, Saka's had a new deal, Smith Rowe's had a new deal, Aubameyang's had a new deal, Xhaka's had a new deal. So if he hasn't signed them, other than Pepe, who could be in the starting 11, they've had a new deal. So
Martinelli got one as well, did he not?
Yeah. So there is no debate now that he has either chosen to keep these players or he's chosen to sign these players. So certainly that first 11 has to start showing us results and start showing us the style of play that Arteta wants to implement. As you mentioned, there is definitely a lack of depth. Some positions have some now where we can be comfortable with one player out. Some positions still I wouldn't be comfortable at all. But certainly in that starting 11, we do need to now start seeing results and the style of play. Because at least if we start to see that, we can go, okay, when he's got the players he wants and they're playing in this way, something's happening. And at least you could go, okay, well, we can then build on either improving that and forcing people in the current starting 11 to the bench, or signing up a backup so you can fill the role. But I agree with Sam. They have to be suited to this style of play. There's just no point putting people in and hoping they fill a gap when we've seen for years now in some cases they just can't.
Right. We just got to hope, again, there's no relapse. There's no new COVID cases, that they can finally bring this team, at least that fragile starting 11 together. Ryan, how is he going to line them up? Arteta's worked 2 formations since he's taken over. Early on when he had to stop the bleeding, and when he had to stop the ridiculous shot discrepancy under late Emery, where Arsenal was getting bombed by 20, 25 shots a match, he went to a 3-4-3. then when things kind of settled and he needed more attack because Arsenal wasn't scoring goals in those early matches, he went to 4-2-3-1. A lot of chatter over the summer that when players came in, when he got the players he wanted, he might go 4-3-3. Might we start finally seeing that? And how would they line up?
Yeah, I think with the acquisition of this new right back, Tomiyasu, I think it indicates us going to a 4-3-3. Because if you look at how City line up with either Walker or Cancelo, they tend to play in midfield, in central midfield, which allows them to have two attacking players in the middle of the pitch. So like De Bruyne or Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, and so forth. So I think 4-3-3, him coming inside from the right back position and making up the numbers in the middle of the pitch really allows us to play an attacking number 8. So we could literally line up with Saka on the left, Smith Rowe and Odegaard in the middle with Partey, and we'd not have to worry so much about being caught on a counter because we've got that assurance of the right back basically playing as a defensive midfielder, like how City do with Walker, and we know how incredible his pace is. And so I think 4-3-3 could work for us in certain games at home against the lesser sides. I'm not sure what kind of lesser sides are to Arsenal at the moment, but against the big teams, I think we'll see us line up as a 3-4-3 with him as a right-sided centre back, the new right back, and Ben White, Gabriel, and then the tougher mid-table teams will probably play a 4-2-3-1. And so we've got options. We're versatile in our approach. So I think that's what Arteta wanted at the end of the day.
All right, Sam, we talked a little bit a few minutes ago about the revamped backline and that Arteta really has to play them all because, I mean, there's no point holding them back. And it means Leno has to sit down and Ramsdale comes in. If he's the better distributor, so be it. Name that we forgot because, again, he's injured, that unfortunate injury in the Chelsea friendly. How does Thomas Partey fit into this plan? Obviously, the club misses him desperately. How is he going to fit in? How is he going to be used when everybody's together?
He is literally the first name on that team sheet for me because he's the linchpin of this whole side. He's essentially the controller, but also he helps us win the ball further up the pitch every time. Because people trying to break, and he's got that absolute quality just to shut down an entire central midfield on his own. He's that good, and as I said to you guys in group chats, like you watch him in person, he's an absolute Rolls Royce. If he didn't have that challenge from Ruben Loftus-Cheek in that Chelsea pre-season, I highly doubt we'd be in the position of where we are right now. Be perfectly honest.
Arsenal have been rolled in the midfield pretty much every match.
Yeah. Because we lose the midfield because we all know Granit Xhaka isn't good enough to control the midfield on his own. Lokonga's a player that's adapted to the English league. He's done well in the games that he's played. He's probably been one of the better players that have been in the games. Now, you put them two together, Partey and Lokonga, then yeah, okay, I'll be happy with that. But I still think with Partey and Xhaka, the issues are still there with Xhaka. It's just being masked by Partey. He's always got that rick in him because he just doesn't seem bothered when he plays for Arsenal. Let me put it this way. It's not the Switzerland Granit Xhaka, the one that we all think and want to have at Arsenal. I don't know who this guy is that comes to Arsenal from Switzerland.
And takes the red cards. It's baffling. It's exasperating. Okay, let's play with Ryan's game here. 4-3-3, where does Partey line up in that? Is he at the base? Is he the player in the base? I'm staying with you, Sam. Sorry.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, I said Ryan rolled through a couple of formation changes. He anticipates 4-3-3. Is Partey playing in the base of that midfield three for
I'd
you?
imagine.
If that's the lineup that comes out
Yeah,
against Norwich?
I'd imagine so. Because then you would, you probably, well, I don't know actually. Because you're gonna have to have El Neni in there, and then you'll have the Conga in there as well. I think
Mm.
because no, you wouldn't actually.
Or does he
No,
have the
you go.
confidence to have two attacking threes and Partey at the base? Or
Oh
where
yeah,
does
he
Partey
would.
fit into that?
He would. He would. Arteta would absolutely go with Partey, Smith Rowe, and
Odegaard?
Odegaard in the
Yeah.
middle. There's enough quality in there to steamroll that midfield.
Okay.
Even if you was to put El Neni in there as the base, you'd probably have enough quality in. Well, I say that you'd hope you'd have enough quality in there to win that midfield battle. But I think with Norwich, there can't be any excuses. We need to win that game.
Right. All right. All right. So Jacob, 4-2-3-1. Right. This is something we kick around, and I'm going to pose it to you here. Partey, assume Partey, Lakanga. Well, Xhaka's got the red card. Um, those two are back. It's kind of default. El Neni's available, but I have to think all hands on deck, best 11 possible. You're going to see Partey and you're going to see Lakanga in a midfield two if it comes to that formation. Would you not? And even if those other guys come back, I'm tempted to leave those two in there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Xhaka obviously not available. El Nene, I've just seen enough of him. I really have. There's still some rumours circulating that he could still leave because the Turkish window is open for a bit longer. But Lokonga has looked very, very impressive in the games he's played so far. Partey, we know what he can offer when he's fit. And I think those two could create a very interesting dynamic in the pivot. One goes forward, one stays back. They're both capable of doing each role.
Mm-hmm.
It's possibly one of the most athletic midfields we would have seen for Arsenal. We spent a long time crying out for that sort of dynamism, even in the creative era. So to see those two paired up together, I would be very excited to see it. Now, obviously, what looks like could be a good pairing doesn't always work out in reality, but we've tried the other options. There will be no harm in trying this one.
All right, I don't know if Ryan's ready for a question. We've got a new guest on the show, a new analyst. We welcome Bo Clayton to the show. Is she ready to answer questions about the Arsenal back line, Ryan?
What was that? Sorry.
I said, is she ready? Is she ready to answer questions about the Arsenal back line? She looks like she's ready to suit up.
In her words, she said we are shit. So...
Okay. From the mouths of babes, right? They tell no lies. They tell no lies. All right. We were talking about midfield combinations. Hello there, young lady. Midfield combinations. Let's talk about forward combinations, right? You said 4-3-3. We're talking about, say, Partey at the base, Smith Rowe and Odegaard on the wing or in the middle of the three. That's the forward option. Who is your three on top if that's the attack? Are you going to have Saka on the left, Pepe on the right, and Aubameyang center? You got to put your best 11 out there. You need a win. I'm pulling out comments from the chat. I think all of us are in agreement. They need to win these next two matches and win them convincingly. They need to. A prim equivalent of what they did against West Brom. They need to convince themselves, I think, more than anything else, that they are capable of going out and really putting a performance together.
Yeah. Basically, they need to win. And the strongest 11 for me would be Ramsdale, because he just plays the way we want to. He's good at passing out the back. Tomiyasu, I sincerely hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Oh, I'm going to look very stupid.
A lot of us are.
White, Gabriel, Tierney. I'm going to be so controversial here. I'm going to say Partey and Xhaka. I think that's our best. When Xhaka's not having his bozo moments, he's probably, him and Partey together are probably our strongest two. Obviously, we don't know what Lokonga is like next to Partey permanently, but right now it's Xhaka. I'm not going to get much love for that comment, but
It is what it is.
I think the front four has to be Emil Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Saka, and Aubameyang. I just think Pepe doesn't show me enough consistently. He'll have an incredible game like he did against West Brom, where he's just in and out, battering the fullback. But then he'll have a game like he did against Brentford, where he's nowhere to be seen. So I think, but that could also come down to playing with Odegaard. So I'm torn between Saka and Pepe right now, but I think the other 10 pretty much select themselves.
Okay. And Saka, you want him on the right side, right? And a lot of people put it. I see a lot of paper lineups with Saka on the left, but you're of the mind and it seems he works much better on the right side.
Yeah, I just think I know he's played well in the half pocket on the left where he's allowed Tierney go up on the outside, but I just feel he would be better suited to playing on the right, where he's 1v1 most of the time, instead of being confused in the decision making of having Tierney on the outside. And I just think he's better on the right personally. I think he's so good on his right foot as well. Like, he can go either way, and if he cuts inside, he's got his stronger foot. If he goes on the outside, he's got his right foot, which is nearly as good. So I think on the right is better for me.
All right, Jacob, the $1 million question. Goal. Everything starts with scoring, because they haven't done that yet. What must they do differently when they come out against Norwich? Obviously, create chances. Let's start with that. How do you see them doing that? Or what would you think they're going to do to try to give themselves chances to score goals? Because that's just not happening right now.
No, I think there's several factors to it. I think getting our starting centre-backs back to build up from the back. Obviously, against Brentford, our players got scared. Leno got terrified and started hoofing it long. We don't have a target man to hoof it long. Pepe's probably the best person we've got at that, and he's hardly that sort of player. Chelsea and City is what it was really. They're good all round. They dominated us. They shut down play everywhere else. And again, we still didn't have our starting players. So we need to be able to get our players back, play out from the back. We've now got the players to progress it through midfield. And I think having Odegaard alongside whoever it may be helps them massively. You don't get players isolated in one portion of the pitch by themselves. He's going to be there to help them, whether that's helping the striker out centrally, helping the wide player out on the right. And it also eases the burden on players like Smith Rowe. Against Brentford, he was trying to do everything, just absolutely everything, because there was no one else to do it. By getting Odegaard back in the team, by getting Saka back into the team, that is a lot of creativity then behind the striker. Now, where you do wonder is it Aubameyang has to score, because those players are not out and out goal scorers like Pepe is. So that's where the real debate for me comes on that right hand side. Do you want the creativity that Saka adds or the goal scoring that Pepe adds? But I think in able to get scoring again, it's going to have to be a whole team approach, which if our first team 11 back is capable, and I do think even if we don't have quite everyone back, we should have enough to beat Norwich. But yeah, I'm hopeful that we are going to get to see a couple of goals. And again, we saw how it can click against West Brom. They're not the level, they're not the quality of team that we're going to play week in and week out. But by getting those players moving in and around into those pockets, into space, and just supporting one another, goals will be put on the plate for someone like Aubameyang, and he will score them.
All right. Pretty quiet right now. I think we're all scanning social media. So everybody out there and all of us here. Go ahead.
I think Nelson's about to be announced at Feyenoord.
Okay.
I'm about to buy their home shirt with Nelson on the back.
All right. But that raises the next question. I mean, it's a lot of chatter, a lot of discussion in groups here, elsewhere, social media in general. Arsenal could probably do if they could make one more move with another midfielder. What kind of midfielder? If there was a move in the offing between now and the closing of the window, Ryan, who would you look for? What kind of midfielder would you look for? Do you have any names? Obviously, this is just preference because I haven't seen any rumors. Arsenal's gone very quiet.
I think we need a goal scoring midfielder, but they don't come around too often. So, trying to think who could add goals to our team. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I know Renato Sanchez is available for a loan, but I think he's still injured. Is he not? He just had surgery. So, obviously the big one is a War. Obviously, he's been offered to us a few times this summer, and we haven't taken it. So
that
I'm
says
not
something to
sure.
me.
Yeah,
Nobody else is
I
offering
think
him. He's probably being offered everywhere, not just Arsenal.
yeah. I mean, Spurs weren't even interested, and you know how desperate they get sometimes. So I'm not sure really. I want to put a name out there, but I don't want to look stupid.
Okay.
I want a goal scoring midfielder. I want deep goals. Maybe we could swing a loan for a Welsh Juventus.
Well, I was going to say the name. I mean, because the player you're describing those are the kind of goals Aaron Ramsey used to score for this club before he left. So you're looking for that style of player.
Yeah, and if we're going into a 4-3-3, which looks the case, who better to play in that attacking number 8 next to Odegaard? It's basically a regen of Ozil and Ramsey from 2014.
Right.
Except obviously Ramsey's a little bit older.
Sam, you've made similar point, and this is something we talked about in the pod, and everybody in Arsenal world knows this, that our midfield the last several years just doesn't score goals, especially after Aaron Ramsey left. What if there was, same question, if there was one more move in the offing between now and the close of the window, what position, what profile of player are you looking for?
I would be looking at a midfielder, but more of an all-round midfielder, one with very good defensive stats, very good at linking play, ball carrying. Ramsey does fit that to a certain degree, but if I was looking at it realistically, my ideal person would be Christopher Nkunku in there from Leipzig, because that guy is an absolute machine, and we really missed that in midfield. I think we'll get that eventually from Lokonga, but right now, if you was to have, and if you're sticking with the 4-2-3-1, a double pivot of Nkunku and Partey, you're laughing because you've got two very much box-to-box midfielders, and even on the counter attack, you've got people that have pace and power to come back and cut that out.
And so Jacob, this brings us back. Sorry. Ryan, go ahead, Ryan.
According to one of Marseille's local papers, an unnamed Premier League club have made an offer for Marseille defensive midfielder Boubacar Kamara.
Oh, please.
Ooh.
So if the rumours are true about El Neni, he would be a like for like upgrade.
Run with that. Run with that. Let's play with it. What else have we got to do on deadline day? If he's El Neni out, Kamara in, what do you gain? Sam, maybe we'll stay with you. You were like, please run with that. What would he do? What would he add to the current lineup that we have if he's replacing El Neni?
This guy's an absolute monster, but Ryan's your person for this.
Okay, Ryan, run with this one. Jacob, we'll get to you.
He is just an absolute tank. He can play as centre defence. He can play as a right back. He can play as a defensive midfielder. He can play as a number 8. And he's just an all-round monster.
Age?
21.
Oh, okay. Fits profile.
I've likened him to Fernandinho in the past. He's incredible on the ball. His defensive recoveries, his ball winning ability is just second to none. And if it is us, him next to Partey would be the teams wouldn't be able to get out their half because we'd have two serial ball winners before they even get to our defence.
It's Newcastle, by the way.
Oh,
too good to be true. All right. Well, that fantasy lasted all of about a minute. But that gets us back to a serious question, Jacob, which is AFCON is coming up. And as our midfield, as of 32 after the hour here, I'm at 10:32. Some of you gentlemen are at 4:32, as other people put in as Newcastle. We're looking at, if the tournament goes on, there's some dispute whether it will go. But if it happens, Arsenal are down to two deep line midfielders because El Neni would go if he stays on the roster. And obviously Thomas Partey would go. And you're down to Xhaka and you're down to Lokonga. That seems to be, to me, uncomfortably thin.
It's crazy thin. And let's not pretend midfield isn't the only area we would suffer from AFCON either. The whole tournament does leave us very thin, and it's not even that it's taking squad players away. On the whole, El Neni, the exception, they are taking away some of our starting key players, some of our very important players. I do think that tournament is one where some players haven't got the move, like the types of midfielder that Sam described. I'd put Basuma in that category. However, we can't afford to sign another player who would go to that tournament. We've got too many going at the moment. The only fix for it at the moment is the January transfer market, but there's no way we can cope for that long a period on two players, especially one of those players who's capable of getting a red card, or we don't know how Lokonga's going to stack up quality yet. Or he looks good, but we don't know long-term quality. We don't know injuries and stuff like that. To play one of the busier periods of the English football calendar on a reduced squad like that, it's suicidal, really. We could be having a really good season, recover against Norwich, build up to Christmas, and then collapse again because we don't have the numbers. So how we are not preparing for that possibility is baffling.
Ryan, we saw that last year with the backup left back, that they left themselves exposed there. And then, of course, Kieran Tierney went down with an injury for several weeks, and Arsenal did not have. They had to try people like Cedric at left back or Xhaka out there, and it just didn't work. It seems to me, unless they're planning on going back in January and making that their fallback plan, but still, I would think today or this window is when you scratch that itch.
Yeah. I was just looking there at the players that we're going to lose. We lose Aubameyang and Pepe as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's realistically our two goal scorers as well. Because I'm not sure you're banking on Lacazette to score many goals. Same with Eddie. So that's a tough one. That's a tough one to answer, because we're going to be very, very short, and I don't trust the people at the top of the club to get decent deals done in January.
All right, and that raises a question, Sam, that we talk about a lot off, and we talked a little bit about this earlier when James Benge was on. Is that this window is turbulent, and really with all the incomings, and there have been incomings, we look at Tavares and we look at White and we look at Lokonga, and now we look at Tomiyasu and Ramsdale. Still, I think, and keeping Odegaard. I mean, significant moves, but still, I think disappointing people. because the squad depth isn't there. A lot of big targets were approached, and then nothing really big has come. We can look at that whole Locatelli fiasco. And now we're looking at this again. And, earlier, Sam, we were saying, well, is this a sign that, could the club change? It does seem that if nothing happens in the next several hours, January gets really big. And it's because, again, this club, we cannot count on this club with its injury history and with its red card history. Let's also talk about that. The red cards are still coming under Arteta to leave itself exposed at critical moments. So is almost like January's crying out for, let's give somebody else this window. How do you take that?
Well, first and foremost, it's poor planning. First and foremost, in the whole context of it. If you're looking at January, you're literally going to have to get the players in the first week, because you can't go week 3, week 4, and not have anybody come in. So you're essentially spending your November and December lining up deals for January 1st. And we all know that isn't going to be happening at Arsenal. So essentially, we've got what now? 6 hours left? If we're going to do something, they need to come in the next 6 hours, because we literally cannot risk it in January. Because we're going to have big matches in January as well.
Yes, and we're all scanning, and again, it seems at the moment it's still outgoings. Nelson has been announced at Feyenoord. Betty's announced, or at least on the personal page, Hector Bellerin's out. But some players, Jacob's still in. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is still in. Eddie Nketiah is still in. Are moves contingent on them? Or is this just a matter of, this is something Arsenal should be doing?
I think the moves are contingent on them. I think they've decided they don't want a repeat of last summer, not registering people or just having too many players sitting around doing nothing. My view is they shouldn't be contingent on them. They need to say, we're getting in these players to replace you. We are doing what we're going to do. Clearly, there's no spot for you. So go and make a move for yourself, because it's just not happening here. We've seen other clubs do it. They've signed players regardless of who they've got. It's not an ideal situation, but at this point in time, we've been trying all summer to move players, create this space. We've just got to decide whether these are players we need or roles we need to fill, and go out and do it, regardless of if we've got Nketiah sat around with no squad space. Because even if we register him, or not that he needs registering, I don't believe.
Does now.
Oh, he does now. Right. Even if we register him, is he going to play? Very unlikely. So he's a wasted squad space anyway. And his wages aren't the highest. So just prove a point. Say, we are moving forward. You have now got this time to go and force a move for yourself. You know there are offers out there. Or you will be sat there with zero chance of playing. Like we did to Ozil, essentially. He forced the move in the end. It wasn't ideal. But I think sometimes you just have to prove a point and say, we are moving forward with or without you.
And it seems, Ryan, with a starting 11 now constructed, but this is only step one, you don't want to wait till next window. So much is at stake in this season. Even with, there's 35 matches left, there's a lot that can be done. I imagine there's some there has to be some strong arming going on right now.
Yeah, I think if I'm Arteta, I'm pissed. I'm fuming with people above him, because realistically they've hamstrung him for the season. They've not got him a midfielder. They've not got him a new striker. I know if look on paper our striker options are pretty good, but again, paper doesn't score you goals. And midfield, we are extremely light. As we've all mentioned already, AFCON, we're going to be even lighter. If Partey has another season where he's struggling with muscle injuries, if Xhaka has a bozo moment, we're left with Lokonga and El Neni. So I think if I'm Arteta, I'm pulling my hair out. I'm telling Edu, I'm calling Edu all the names under the sun, because it's not been good enough this summer. Like, as James Bench said, we've waited around for people to make bids for these players. As a director of football, you need to be drumming up the interest. You need to be telling these teams, you need this player because he does this. Not waiting for them to come in for him. As Sam has a great analogy for it, but I'm not going to say it live because it involves holding something in each other's hands.
It's a line from The Godfather. If you know the movie, it's what Sonny Corleone said before he sent his brother Michael into the restaurant to meet with the crooked cop. So, if you're a movie aficionado, you'll remember that scene. It was the warning, and it's apt. Let's put it that way.
Chris Wheatley's just tweeted no more in comments as things stand.
As things stand. Okay, that line is bearing a lot of weight. And again, so many hours until the deadline. That's a discouraging line to hear.
I don't know why, but if Griezmann goes to Atletico on loan, I feel like Barca will come for Lacazette or Aubameyang.
And again, but here's a situation for you and everybody else who can jump in. I mean, we can make this a little bit more free flowing. Arsenal are waiting on somebody else. They're not being proactive in these moves. That's what drives me crazy.
That's been our problem the whole time, isn't it?
This club needed to be proactive the entire window.
Yeah.
And they're waiting for it to come to them.
We're saying, nobody wants them. Well, if we're not offering them around, how do you know no one wants them?
Right.
Okay, it's funny how quick the Torreira deal happened once people found out he was available. Look at how quick the Bellerin deal's been done with Betis. I know it's deadline day, but he was linked to them, 3 weeks ago? 4 weeks ago? Maybe even a couple months ago.
Look how quickly the Tomiyasu deal came together when Arsenal got motivated. I mean, that's what's maddening, is that they can do these things.
Yeah. But when you have a competent director of football, I will keep going back to it. It's not just Arteta in the wrong. Obviously, whatever he does is on the pitch is going wrong, but Edu has really not helped his start to the season. No,
and then add COVID into it that takes so many players out, injuries that take so many players out, the Olympics that take so many players out. But again, these were not unexpected. They knew Gabriel was going to miss time because of the Olympics. They knew. They should have planned for COVID. It's kind of impossible to think you're going to go through an entire season and it's not going to affect somebody or somebody's on your roster. And they had to look at the schedule and say, wow, okay, we got a chance with Brentford, but boy, it gets really hard really fast. And I'll pull a line, Sam. Arsenal can't afford to play hard to get.
We shouldn't be playing hard to get in the slightest. We should be down the red light district, spreading the legs, going, take the players. Do you know what I mean? We can't play hard to get with what we're looking to sell. That's madness.
Right.
And for that alone, Edu needs to be gone. For me, this was the summer. Honestly, this was the summer where we could have really taken advantage of this market, because there's so many deals that are, say, under 20 million euros that are out there in Europe that would infinitely strengthen this team.
Yep.
Yeah, we're doing the same old Arsenal thing, going, oh, we're too good for these deals. No, we're not. We're not. Yeah, we've got no. This what really annoys me. We've got no plan B either in this squad. If you think about it, it's all very samey same. You got
Go ahead, because I want to jump on that. I mean, we saw earlier they made a move for Manuel Locatelli, and we all said, "Hey, great! This guy played well in the Euros. He played well for Sassuolo. This, he's a top talent. This shows Arsenal showing ambition." Well, once it became obvious, it seemed we thought, "Oh, Arsenal are going to wait it out because Sassuolo's playing hardball with Juventus." But there came a point where it became tiresome, and it was obvious. Okay, he's going to push to get to Juventus because that's where he really wants to go. And then there was no plan B. And we've talked about this, either players like Basuma out there, Camavinga, who finally has gone to Real, Bruno Guimaraes, who's at Lyon. There are other desirable Neves, who's at Wolves. He's still at Wolves, is he not? Yeah. And what did they do? Well, we couldn't work out, and they were planning on moving Xhaka out and bringing one of those players in. And then once Xhaka came in, they thought, like, oh, okay, we're cool with El Neni. There you have it. No plan B. And how can you be totally for, like the plum? And if you don't get the plum, it's like, we're done.
Yeah, exactly.
That drives me crazy.
And this is the thing with us, is that we're too nice in the transfer market as well. We don't pressurize teams into selling us their players. We'll just go, we'll wait towards deadline day. We'll see what you're saying then. We're still saying no. Oh, okay then. Shall we move on to somebody else? Oh no, it's too late for that. But if you think about it, we bottled it with Xhaka having the extension. Realistically, he should have gone regardless. You think about it now, and again, it's hindsight. You look at the price that is being offered. Are you going to get the same or more next year? Probably not. Is the player going to be in the same mindset of where he should be? Probably not.
No, he had one foot in Roma, right? He was talking to Mourinho and right.
And that's what I don't like. We was waiting for Xhaka to leave to sign another central midfielder. A serious football club adds to Xhaka.
Exactly.
Don't replace him.
Bring somebody in and then pushes one of the other two out and looks at Xhaka and El Neni and say, "Okay, your time's up. Find another club," right?
Stop buying to replace and buy to add. That's all we want. You think of our depth. If you added a Bruno Guimaraes, for example, to this midfield, you're thinking, hang on a minute, our midfield is incredibly strong. Because your starting pair is Bruno and Partey, and your second is Xhaka and Lokonga. And then your fifth choice is El Neni and Maitland-Niles or whoever it is. But that core four is incredibly strong. And
we've been talking about it all morning. There is no depth right now. Yeah. And here's something else. I mean, Jacob, let's bring you in. You can take this because we're all kind of just climbing all over each other. But this is another thing that drives me crazy about this lack of intent. It's clear KSC has told Edu, hey, we'll spend the money. They spent 50 million, like a week or two ago, before Ronaldo came back to United. Arsenal had spent the most in the Prem. So it's clear that had they moved the deadwood out, it was known. Josh Kroenke said, hey, we'll spend. They've spent about 100, with today, probably about 140 million or so.
150.
They probably would have gone to 200 had more opportunities, had Xhaka gone out, had another, they put a 40 million pound offer on the table for Locatelli. They had the backing. This is not a matter of will. It seemed that KSC said, get us the players and we'll pay for them. And that's what drives me crazy about this. Another thing. So many.
It's the same with Tammy Abraham, isn't it?
Yeah.
We had to wait for Eddie or Lacazette to leave to sign Tammy. Why?
Yeah.
If you sign Tammy, these other two are going to leave.
Yeah,
and boy, they could have used Tammy, right? And Tammy wanted to come.
Yeah, the financial backing is clearly there. I mean, yeah, we're at about 150 million spent. What fees have we recouped? Nothing, really. Absolute
25 million.
Yeah, pennies, pittance. Like the financial backing is there. It wasn't a case of we had to sell to buy. We've bought. We've been unable to sell. We've been unable to persuade players to leave. Like and it's not a new thing. You look at our deal. We're now looking at losing Maitland-Niles for nothing. We had a 20 million offer on the table a year ago, but we said no. We want to keep him. He's going to play. Turned down the offer. He hasn't played. He's now worth bugger
Same
all,
with
really.
Nketiah, right?
Yeah.
Jacob, I completely agree. We turned a 25 million bid down last summer for Bellerin
Yeah.
from PSG
Yeah.
because we wanted 40.
Yeah. Like, we are being too picky, and all we're doing, it sounds like before, the market then in a year's time, it's worse. Like, take the best offer you can get. If you have decided they are not the players for your team, they're not going to play, whatever, that you want other players. Okay, maybe you value some of them a bit higher, but if no one else is valuing them that high, it's irrelevant, really. You want to get the best price you can. 12 months later down the line with a year left on the contract and zero playing time does not increase that price. It kills it completely half the time. Why? So we're turning down good offers and losing them for nothing. And again, yeah, like, buying players, we just we shouldn't we shouldn't be waiting to clear players out. You know, as Ryan said, why are we replacing all the time? At the end of the day, even with the squad we've got now, we've got some good players in there. If a better option comes along and it forces Odegaard to the bench, as much as I've advocated for him all summer and I think he's a quality player, you do it. Oh, Odegaard off the bench or your backup player or whatever is a phenomenal option. Now, I can't see that ever being likely with the club in that state. But you look at City's and even Chelsea's depth now, it's unbelievable that if they're missing a couple of players with injury or COVID, it's not really going to bother them. They don't care. Arsenal miss two players. The whole system
Well, we're
falls apart
seeing it
right
right now. Partey's
Yeah.
out and everything drops a level.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the only play we might now have depth in terms of Lokonga can come in and do a job for Partey temporarily, potentially. It's still unsure. Tavares might be able to do a similar role to Tierney. Again, we're unsure, but he looks promising. The best depth we've probably got is that Pepe Saka option. No one's going to be too upset out of those who play. But in general, you look at, White's injured, Holding's come in. Everyone, if you look at that lineup, your heart's going to sink a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Marie comes in for Gabriel, your heart's going to sink a little bit. Al Nene comes in, your heart's going to sink a little bit. Even Lacazette coming in, people are going to sink a little bit. Like, our first 11 and our backups, there's quite a few levels between them. It's quite clear they're not going to even challenge in a lot of places. Whereas you look at other teams, and even the teams that the starting 11s aren't as good as ours, they've still got the better depth. They've got players challenging those players, so that if they do have to lose someone, they've got a player who can come in and play to a similar level. We only have that in potentially 1 to 3 positions, which is crazy. So there's still a lot of work to do on the squad. And again, we just don't help ourselves in the market with selling or buying. It's been appalling for a long time. I mean, today, Dan James has just gone for 25 million to Leeds. It's like Liverpool last summer sold Brewster for 20 million. We're not getting deals like that done at all, even with ones who have performed better, got better experience. We'd sell them for about 8 million, if that.
All right. We'll recap at the top of the hour, but this is a topic we'll pick up in much greater depth, right? But we've got 5 minutes before we wrap up this segment. Everything that we're saying, that we've said in this hour, just points to me that there needs to be a change in the director of football. It's a shame. Edu has been harassed. His family has been harassed. That's horrible to see. On social media, personally, outside the match, at the match, just disgraceful behavior. But given everything that we've said, that the club has given him resources and that everybody knew going in the importance of this window, and one of you can jump in. Do you see this club making a change in that position, given that they take red cards and they get injuries? They may need another important buy if they don't get one in these next few hours. They're going to need a buy or two in January to maybe keep this thing afloat. I'll just go around and I'll start below me with Ryan. Do you make a change when this window closes at that position, his position?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think me and Sam discussed this at length last night. He hit me with Monchi, Rangnick, and was it Campos?
Yeah, Campos.
I went with Overmars solely because he could probably bring a 10 Hag with him as manager. But I would make a change. I would have made a change a few weeks ago, personally, because we saw the incompetence a few weeks ago. And I think, for me, the camel's back broke yesterday when the reports of Arsenal bidding 10 million plus Bellerin for Emerson instead of paying 20 million plus Bellerin. We wouldn't go any higher. So,
and that was a double whammy, right? They could have added him and kept him away from Spurs, where he signed today.
Exactly. Yep. And I think for me, the incompetence shown from him this summer, he's had more holidays than he has players sold. So for me, we need to make a change. But first and foremost, we have some breaking news. So I'm going to play my new graphic.
Okay, let's see it.
Tomiyasu has successfully completed his medical as new Arsenal player. Deal agreed and signed with Bologna. Here we go, confirmed. Final fee will be less than 20 million euros.
Okay. Jacob, question to you. Do you make a change? We've got 2 minutes. I'll give you 1 minute. Well, do you make a change? Well, we're going to go into this. This is going to be our topic of the next hour. Yeah. We'll do the long form, but give me the short answer here.
Yes. I mean, he's not done enough. He was under scrutiny from last summer anyway. He's failed to deliver as far as I'm concerned. Buys haven't been awful. They've not been bad. Neither have they been enough, and sales have been atrocious.
Sam? Yeah, I'd have Monchi, Campos, or Ranić. Take your pick out one of them three, and I'd have them in before the window.
Next week. Yeah. Because as we'll wrap it up there. We'll talk about this more in the hour when we reach the top of the hour, and we'll recap everything. But, you all have said, right, we know this window closes, but as soon as it closes, we're going to start looking to January because this club is far from finished. This club still has deadwood to get out. This club still has needs that they need to bring in, upgrades either to the starting 11 or to the depth. So whoever the director of football is at Arsenal Football Club will need to have at least October, November, December to start working, to start isolating and then working on those deals. And I do not want it to be the people or the person who's in charge right now. I mean, we've seen enough. I think we've seen enough. All right. We are at the top of the hour. Let's recap you. It's what, 5 p.m. in the UK? Yep. Noon here on the East Coast of the United States, 11 here in the Central Time Zone where I am. We're what, 6 hours? How many hours from the close of the window? 5 hours?
6.
6 hours from the close of the deadline. So ample time for Arsenal if they want to make moves either in or out or both. We'd probably prefer to see both. As of this moment, really 1 out or 2 out, 1 in. Let's start with a loan. Reece Nelson is off to Feyenoord. That has been announced. Hector Bellerin is now with Real Betis. I believe that's also on loan, gentlemen. Is that correct? Year-long loan. And coming into
out as well.
Say again?
Runnerson looked like he's
that's right. Runnerson is out. Also appears on loan. So 3 out, 1 in. Takahiro Tomiyasu from Bologna to play right back. Probably go straight in at right back. Let's take a step back. All right, Sam, I'll start with you and we'll work our way. Actually, Jacob, I'm going to bring you in because you kind of get squeezed in the middle, like the middle child here on this panel. Take it as a whole, right? White, Tavares, Lukonga, Ramsdale, now Tomiyasu. How close did Arsenal get to what they needed, and what do they still need, in your opinion? Or and let's add Odegaard to that. Retaining Odegaard, that's important.
I think they have filled some very important squad spaces. I would say on the whole, the players are more promising than, what's going to kick us on to the next level. Having said that, there have been some good performances from those we've seen, and they certainly suit the style of play we're looking to build. But you can't help but feel we've missed out on something like a real big centre midfielder to really kick the team on. The signings we've got are going to improve us. I do believe that. Whether or not they're enough and whether or not they're ready to improve us now is still up for debate.
Okay. Ryan, how close did Arsenal get to what it needed? Let's use a 5-point scale. People use the 10-point scale, too many points in that. But if 5 is they filled all their needs, how did they do?
4.
4? Okay. What's missing?
Central midfielder.
So you think one more significant move before the close of this window would really go a long way to helping this club?
Yeah. I think it solves probably our biggest issue, and that's depth in the middle of the pitch.
Sam?
3.
How would you rate it? 3. What's missing for you?
Striker and centre midfielder.
That makes the Abraham thing painful, seeing they could have filled that need really easily with a little more ruthlessness.
Oh, and just to let you know, Aouar looks like he's off to Real Madrid.
Surprising. So Leon held out and they got some money. Also, it seems that Real, after missing out on Mbappe, have decided they've got to spend some money, and they've spent a lot in the last 24 hours. With Camavinga.
Real Madrid, but not good enough for Arsenal, eh, Sam?
Nope, not good enough for us, mate. It's not what we need.
Okay.
And I will stand on that flag.
All right. Quickly. 6 hours to the deadline. Who would you like to see? Jacob, we'll start with you. You can get one player in between now and the close of the window. Who would you want to see? I'll throw mine out. I'm going to say Bruno Guimaraes, and you go.
Yeah, the one I've been saying all summer I want is Basuma. There are caveats to that with AFCON. I think that's a real downer, but I think he is really a sort of player who's going to help kick us on.
Sam, who would you like to see? Weghorst. Okay. And that would not be an expensive buy, would it?
No, under 20 million euros. You're looking probably about between 13 and 17 million euros. All in all.
So, okay, Ryan?
Julian Brandt.
Interesting.
15 million goal scoring midfielder. I knew I had one in my head. couldn't remember his name.
I have to ask this question. How likely is a move, any of these players, any of these kind of players, likely in the next 5 hours? Ryan, we'll go back to you.
We're not signing anyone else.
All right.
I don't think.
Jacob, are we done?
I'd say there's only a sort of 30% chance now. I'd say we're mostly done. If a Turkish club's really after El Neni, we have to react to that. But I think it is going to be reactive rather than proactive.
And that's been one of the themes of the day. Sam, how possible, let's put it that way. I don't say likely. How possible is this?
Just for my own sanity, I've got to say that anything's possible in the last 5 hours.
Okay. And there are 5 hours. That's a lot of time. As we saw this morning, Arsenal was a motivated club and they got a right back. And when they're motivated, they can do this. They did it. So
it's just interesting to know German market's now closed. So
closed first.
Anything from Germany, unlikely.
You know, with Arsenal, it's always, we need to create squad space, blah, 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 blah. Boubacar Kamara doesn't take a squad space because he's under 21. Should just go and buy him.
Runnison is also going. Opens up
Yeah,
another
so
squad space. Non-homegrown.
15 million, you've sorted out your midfield. Just why not do it? We've got a good relationship with Marseille because we've given them Saliba. We let them have Guendouzi for pretty much nothing. They're
That's
paying
not a high
what?
price either.
No, it's what, 8 million at the end of it. We've done them a few favours. Why? We've got a good relationship. Then just go for him, please. My football manager save would be so much cheaper.
Put your Hollywood director all or nothing cap on HBO plus cap. Jacob, what's Mikel Arteta's mindset right now? Looking at the clock, watching the time drip down, given what he's been given so far. What do you? Your camera's rolling. What are you seeing?
I mean, with the cameras rolling, he's saying something very different to what he's thinking, which I think is.
When they shut him down and go get lunch, what is he saying?
I think he's going to be nervous. I don't think he's got entirely what he needs, what he wants. And at the end of the day, the failures of the board or Adu, and if Arteta can't get them playing, that axe comes down on his head. So I would be very nervous that they have not delivered all that clearly, based on what's happened throughout the window, he was hoping that was going to happen.
Well, Sam, interesting
I
scenario.
A new graphic again.
Oh, we have something. Let's see. A new graphic.
Just in.
Okay. On the Daily Gooner Pod. Drum roll, please. Metaphorical.
Ainsley Maitland-Niles has held clear the air talks with Mikel Arteta. He is staying at Arsenal and has been assured he is part of Arteta's plans this season, which then tells me he's our midfielder.
Okay, there you go. That was going to be my next question.
That's fucking embarrassing. I'm sorry, but it is. That's embarrassing. Both for club and player.
He needs to come out and apologise publicly now.
Yep.
Because he's just made a mockery of Arsenal Football Club.
I mean, I like Maitland-Niles. I don't like him particularly as a midfielder. But if Tomiyasu and Maitland-Niles were right backs, I'd be absolutely fine with it. But yeah, this is one of the most bizarre sagas I think we've seen.
Now, is this a Band-Aid? Did he really want to keep Niles, or did he realize, well, I may have to make the best of a bad situation here because I'm stuck with him?
Of course he didn't.
So, I was saying to Sam the other day, was it during the Norwich City? Well, no, it wasn't the City game. It was the West Brom game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I said to him, I'd be interested to see a Maitland-Niles Partey pivot, because I remember Maitland-Niles got man of the match against Pogba at Old Trafford, didn't he? In the middle of the pitch. I think he has it in him, but it's all about his what's the word I'm looking for? His application.
Yeah,
and consistency. That's what I don't see, is that he does have good matches. He was very good in the FA Cup final against Chelsea when he was playing on the wing in midfield, because they had they were playing 3-4-3. But it seems he when I look at him, it's like, well, he could be right back. Well, he could be. I don't see him as a central midfielder. Sam, what's your misgiving about him?
The thing for me,
misgivings. It can be multiple ones. Go ahead.
The thing for me is people have got to let go of that Man United game now, because it was nearly 5-6 years ago now going on, and you think, what have you actually seen from this player since then? Realistically, yes, he makes a good wing back. Does he make a good central midfielder? No. Did he go to West Brom and start being a standout player there? No. So if he's not good enough for West Brom midfield, how does he make the Arsenal midfield better? Because I don't see it.
Do you think El Nenny's good enough for a West Brom midfield?
Yeah, I do, and I'd say this now. I'd have El Nenny over Maitland-Niles in midfield. Still,
I probably agree, and I don't like El Nenny at all.
Because with Maitland-Niles, he's too lackadaisical on the ball. Yes, he's got that little bit of speed to make that back, but the bottom line of it is just simply he's not good enough. He's not good enough. He was never a centre midfielder through youth level. He is a winger. He's had this notion like Walcott had the notion that he's going to be a striker. He goes, "Oh, I'm going to run with that, and I'm going to be a central midfielder." You're not good enough. And just to add insult to injury, now Wolves are going in for Babacar Kamara. One player, social midfield, yet we've persisted with somebody that we all know is not good enough for centre midfield.
Really was yesterday was whining that he wanted to be loved, that he was embarrassed, was trying to. I take that as he's trying to pout his way out of the club.
Yeah, it's embarrassing for everybody all round. I'm sorry, but it is. I'm quite angry by that, to be honest.
And here's the Arsenal window. One promising, they get a right back, and then they squander what pretty big chunk of time to make another move by. And again, this is inviting, because of his very public statements, he's inviting that very loud sector of the fan base that lives on social media to give him the business the next time that he has a disappointing start or disappointing performance. None of this makes the culture inside and outside the club any better, in my opinion.
The thing is,
it just shows Arteta's a pushover, really.
Yeah.
If you're going to banish him from training, at least go ahead with it. Either you're hard-headed and willing to do it. Well, Benj did say, actually, if Maitland-Niles apologises, he'll probably stay.
Nobody comes out looking good in this scenario at all.
No.
And
no.
I wouldn't hesitate to say that he'll get absolutely battered at the Emirates as well, Maitland-Niles.
He's
put
still
a
got a
metaphorical
fan
target on
popularity.
himself.
Exactly. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think initially he'll be well received. Obviously, you look on social media, everyone's been clamouring for him. After a couple of performances, if he is in midfield, I think it will change quickly.
And we all know how quick people are to turn, especially in the stadium. I don't even think it'll be after a couple of appearances. It'll be after a few bad touches. Few misplaced passes, few bad touches. Title turn. Okay, very quick on Aouar. Aouar is now staying at Lyon and will not be joining Real Madrid. Very quick turnaround there.
That was minutes.
Can I just get your guys' opinions on Lacazette seeing out his contract?
Okay, go ahead. And we do have a question. We'll get to it in a moment. Go ahead, Ryan.
But I just want to get your guys' opinion on Lacazette seeing on his contract.
More of the same. He's taking the money. Now, to be fair, to me, this is just further evidence of. We've heard stories that he was being offered to clubs, but Arsenal wanted too much in return for him, which is, again, staggering to me because he has 1 year left on his contract. He's got the second highest wage on the books. He's not your starter. He's not going to be your starter. I would be doing everything in my power to move him on. And now...
I would have just taken a loan, to be honest.
More malpractice from Edu. That's my reading of it.
So I just got a text from my friend. He said Brighton are talking to Arsenal about Eddie.
Again.
We'll see what happens there.
Okay.
I mean, it's probably not going to happen because Arsenal probably want 50 million for him. So.
and the rest.
Well, if Brighton are talking to us about Eddie, I'd be like, well, you put Basuma on the table and we'll talk.
And I wouldn't be coy if they said we value Eddie at 10. I'd say fine. If that gets us Basuma, fine. That's been the stubbornness of this club, is that they want 20 for him. It seemed Palace was willing to offer what, 12 plus 3 plus add-ons. I mean, if Brighton offer that, I bite their hand off. I mean, if Brighton offer me 12 and it gives me a shot at Basuma, done deal. I'll make up the difference. The club, we know the club will pay it. This is the stubbornness of somebody like Edu, who's under the gun, who has to know the perception, who has to know his club has no points. This is what gets me, is the stubbornness of this man. It's mind-boggling.
And this is the thing where I'm at the moment. Edu he's essentially hamstrung us for 3 windows, including last summer, January, and now. Mm-hmm. He just simply isn't good enough to be a technical director in England, let alone Europe. Fair enough, he had experience as director of football over at Corinthians. Same with the Brazil national team. It's a whole different ballgame over in Europe. And he just simply hasn't applied himself to how he should have done in this country and in Europe.
I can't quibble with any of that.
And you literally cannot make any defense of him because there isn't, frankly.
Well, there's a movement. It's nice that Arsenal still have the phones working if they're working on moving Eddie Nketiah out. But Eddie Nketiah is something. Now, he bears some responsibility. His agent, anyway, may bear some responsibility for this. But this is, again, another move. Jacob, anybody jump in, that should have been consummated weeks ago. He's had interest the entire window.
Yeah, to be honest, it's the deal that I don't know why it's taking so long. At the end of the day, he's got the same agent as Balogun, I believe. So us committing to Balogun showed that we probably weren't as committed to Nketiah. Those talks would have been had with the agent then. They wouldn't have been completely separate talks. It would have been quite clear this is the case. So it's not some situation where we start the season and Nketiah's gone, oh, I'm not playing. He would have known. There has been offers. There's been lots of interest in him. Now, obviously, the club might be holding out for more than he is worth, and that would be on Edu. But again, the agent or the player should be pushing for these, going, look, you don't want me. Just take a deal. Like, there are ways around this to force through deals as well. So there's definitely some sort of issue on both sides that's not let this happen, but hopefully there will be a deal forced through today, and I think that's good for club and player.
So apparently Burnley have been offered the chance to sign Juventus midfielder Weston McKennie on a season-long loan. Burnley. Why are we not involved in this? We need a midfielder. Everyone can see we need a midfielder.
Edu's probably having a nap in a dark room somewhere.
Probably in Brazil.
I was going to say he's booking plane tickets somewhere.
It's just embarrassing. But again, it boils down to the incompetency of how this club is being run. The whole thing with Maitland-Niles should never have come out in public. We're not getting on deals that are quite, frankly, opportunities in the market, loan or permanent. We're just not even looking at them. So what are we actually doing? You can't tell me that they're happy with this squad.
Let me revise since we're talking about this, and going into this hour, we were talking about would you bring in a new director of football? All three of you said yes. All three of you mentioned names. Okay, let's go into the names and why. But I want to bring up something that Ryan mentioned again in our group a while back, is that one of the reasons Arteta is struggling, and he has his own fault to bear, but he is surrounded by people who are just as inexperienced as he is, who are not giving him any shield, who are not giving him the support that is required. Ryan, since you brought it up, I'll start with you. Who would you look to? Who fits that experienced hand category? Who could, if assuming that Arsenal doesn't want to make a quick hook with Arteta, let's say at minimum they'll give him to Christmas, about what Emery got. Who could give him that stability and start planning around him and planning for him and shield him? I mean, this window's done. Well, we hope that there's another move or a loan somewhere, but who fits that? Who checks that box for you?
I think Overmars. He's a club man. He's been at Arsenal before. I was saying to Sam last night, he's not scared to make the tough decisions, like sacking his friends at Ajax with Van der Sar, and that he knows what he wants. He gets what he wants. Like some of the offers that they've been for their players, he's not taken, but then they've got better offers from somewhere else. So he obviously knows what he's doing. He's hard-headed. He's got a good approach to selling and buying. And if it's not him, I think it has to be Monchi from Seville. He would have been perfect with Emery, personally, because I don't think Emery got the right backing either by the board. They kind of just said, we're buying you this player, deal with it. Because they signed him Torreira when he wanted Partey. Obviously, signed Pepe over Zaha, which I know most of us agree with anyway. But they didn't sign his players that he wanted, and I think he suffered from it. But if Monchi was there, I think he would have got what he wanted, and we probably would have not been in this mess.
Sam, you mentioned some names. Who tops your list? Who would give the manager, even just in the short term, better support and seem to work better with him and just be more effective? I mean, we don't have an effective director of football right now.
If you want somebody to completely rebuild this club from top to bottom and get rid of the rot, so to speak, then it's Ralph Rangnick for me. You look at his past, about what he's done. He has literally built Leipzig into a monster of work of German football in a very, very short space of time as well. Even if they sacked the manager, he went, don't worry guys, I'll step in and I'll manage and still get them into the top four, into the Champions League. If you're looking at other people like that, you're looking at bringing in a caretaker manager, then you're still doing a manager search. He steps in, just goes, I'll do it. That's fine. He's got a style of play that suits very well to us. So for me, to completely rebuild this club, which I think we definitely need and desperately need, it'll be him.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, Campos would do a very good job also. But he's more of finding gems, building them into the team, selling them off after a couple of years.
Jacob, you get the next bite.
Yeah, I agree. I think Rangnick would be perfect. We don't need someone to come in, like Chelsea or United are doing. We don't need someone just to kind of manage the next kind of stage and bring in a couple of signings to kick us on or really solidify the team. We need a lot still, and it's not quite a total rebuild, as we said earlier in the show. We have got a starting 11, more more or less. But we need someone who's really going to take that and be brutal. Where can we improve it? Who is going to be kicked down to the bench? What else is going on? And it's just someone with an overall plan. At the end of the day, the pressure is now on Arteta, rightly or wrongly. There's lots of debate over that. But a good director of football will be looking at that situation going, okay, well, we agree with that style of play, or we don't. I mean, hopefully someone who's brought them in would agree with the style of play. And you'll be looking at the next, cut who are the next three candidates in line, who's going to come in, who can manage these types of players, the attitudes they've got, the style of football. You would have a list of candidates, even when things are going great. You would have a list of players to bench, even the ones who are playing well. We talk about how great Partey is, how great Odegaard is. Good director of football still going to have people on their list who go, all right, we could bring them in. It might push those to the bench still, but that's how you keep improving and becoming a top club. So yeah, I think that's something Rangnick could do. I think the others are kind of a later stage in the development of a team. I think he would take the reins from where we are and have a good plan, both short term and long term.
Okay, looking at short term and long term, given who, let's say, thinks stat pat. Ryan, I'll just move over to you, or I'll go back to Sam because it looks like you found something or you're looking at something. But I'll come back to you in a moment, Ryan. But let's say somebody new comes in. Is this still salvageable? It seems we've gotten 11. Is it a matter of building depth behind them? What is your priority one? Let's play this game. We've got time. We're hoping Arsenal's working the phones right now to bring somebody in as well, move somebody out. But it seems that what they don't do now, it just seems to kind of carry over to January. They still need midfield depth. They could still use a striker, a target man. What changes?
Well, I don't think much changes in that respect. If a new technical director or director of football comes in, whatever the club feels like titling them, we desperately need a centre midfielder. I would probably argue you need two central midfielders because you're going to be losing one in Xhaka in probably a year's time or 6 months' time, depending on whether he decides to throw another bitch fit. But it's case central midfield is where you need to really look at that central midfield area and go, is this good enough? Right now, the answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
You're pinning hopes on a 21-year-old that's adapting to the league. I did say that I think he will be a starter within the next 6 months, and I still firmly believe that. But should he be the starter in 6 months? That's the question. I think that potentially we need him to remain as the secondary option for the time being, and somebody else coming in and then fighting for the starting spaces. I don't want no more players coming in that will be backups. I want first 11 players coming in, and if they're not doing it on the training ground, then they're on the bench or not in the squad. Secondly, you need to address the striking situation because, again, you've got two over 30s. And then you can't be pinning your hopes on Balogun. So you need to address that of getting maybe two senior strikers in, and then say to Balogun, you're competing with these two for a starting spot. And then I would also start looking at the left wing position also, because as much as we love Smith Rowe, and I think that's where he's going to be playing permanently this season, I personally would be sending Martinelli out on loan because I don't think that he's the finished product of where we need him right now. And I think that he's in a stage of his career where, again, he needs permanent minutes. So that's where I'd be starting for the time being if I was the new director of football or a new director of football coming.
All right, Jacob, Same. I'm giving you the director of football reins. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I generally agree with Sam. Players, other than a few exceptions, you 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 bring in good players who could push
What's up? I'm good
players
at
to the
five.
bench. So you
It's
know
deadline day.
you
What you
could look
got?
at you could look at someone
Take a break.
who
Oh,
could replace Partey. Maybe they don't. Maybe Partey kicks on and keeps that spot, but you've got someone there who can easily. So maybe the guy you signed does become the bench option, but he's brought in as a potential first team choice. You know, um, and then yeah, we need to be looking at our general planning, having having this situation where we're talking about how AFCON could decimate our team and our top players is not okay. That should have been thought about months ago. Who are we having to prepare? Um, whether that's selling people, bringing players in who are going to come in now, like Lokonga could step up by AFCON. We don't know it, and even then, it still leaves us short. So, just having that clear plan in place with who's coming in, how we're going to manage the squad in total, and you know, although in this situation I did agree with signing a backup left back, not every player we sign can be backup, and we shouldn't just be selling our first team players. You keep your top players, but if they get benched, they get benched for a bit, or if they rotate, they rotate.
Camavinga's just been announced at Real Madrid.
Let's do it.
That hurts.
I wanted him so bad.
31 million euros guaranteed plus add-ons, so potentially 40 million euros total. That's a
So about
steal.
34 million.
That's an absolute steal.
So apparently, Renato Sanchez's deal to Wolves has fallen through. He's available on loan. We have a really good relationship with Lille. Surely. You're muted, Sam.
There we go. There we go. I knew that would happen at some point today.
As I was saying, Ref, Renato Sanchez's move to Wolves has fallen through. Arsenal have an incredible relationship with Lille, with Gabriel, Pepe, Jorginho.
Another there's so many midfielders. We've talked about them. Neves is still out there, right?
Yep.
Sanchez is still out there. Grimadish is still out there. Kamara was until a few minutes ago available. This is just crazy. Just crazy.
Well, this has confused me a little bit. Brighton and Hove Albion are pleased to confirm the signing of Abdullah Sima from Slavia Prague.
But loaned him straight to Stoke.
To Stoke.
Sorry?
They've loaned him to Stoke. Surely he should have stayed at Slavia.
Must need a bit of toughening up. Can he do it on a cold Monday night at Stoke?
He's going to find out.
Oh dear. Unlucky lad.
They're still in need of a striker. I thought he was going to be their striker.
Yeah, but yeah.
He's going alone.
Oh, come on, guys. Eddie is literally right there. Go and grab him.
It's just weird because there were so many rumours. I think I saw some rumours this morning that Lacazette had been offered to Barcelona for 15 million euros.
Mm.
But nothing else has come out about it. So
but
I'm wondering if they're waiting on Griezmann to go.
Well, I saw a story earlier. I can't remember who posted it now, that Lacazette has decided he's not moving and is going to run down his contract.
He just needs to fuck off.
I don't think he's going to have the moves next summer. Because he's going to be second choice at Arsenal this season. He's not going to get as many goals as he did this year. Surely his best chance at a big move would be now.
Right. To a decent sized club is right now.
I don't think Barca that would be interesting next summer.
But if you're him and Barca are there, surely you'd take it with both hands.
The Champions League football, challenging for the title in La Liga.
Probably going to get a lot of playing time, right?
Yeah, well, who's their striker?
Martin Braithwaite, yeah.
Yeah, it's Braithwaite.
If he doesn't back himself over him, then
Christ.
when I saw the Bills
Actually,
tweet last
Aguero
night,
has just been registered. More players have taken a pay cut to register Aguero.
but he's injured till January, is he not?
I knew he had an injury. I didn't think it was that severe.
He had like a hamstring
Okay.
injury, I think.
They've announced they've officially registered him now, though. So he is, because at one point that looked unlikely.
When I saw the Bills tweet last night about a potential leak about a prominent personality, I instantly thought about it was Aubameyang being sold, and then the tier 1 guy for Barcelona said they're in talks with a 30-year-old striker. I was like, here we go. Arsenal are going to sell their captain on deadline day.
No, just to touch on that though, you're saying prominent personality in that Arsenal locker room. Lacazette is a prominent personality.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true.
Alba and Laka are probably the two key ones of that. Louise was, obviously isn't now.
Funny thing is, I think as we're scrolling through looking for crumbs here, there still seems to be maybe a last kick, if not for Arsenal, for other clubs. But I'm just thinking back to last deadline window last October, how we were all furiously thinking, are they going to make one last move for Aouar? Going to make one last move for Aouar? And what makes me scratch my head today is there's so many more options available now than there were in the window. And yet Arsenal seem every bit as stuck in the mud. So.
Wow. Wolves and Newcastle are offering 15 million euros to Marseille for Kamara. I think that's about 12 million, if my calculations are correct.
Put 15 down and bring him over.
I'm not being funny. You look at how Arsenal's perceived over in France as well. It's a no-brainer.
8 million.
Huge club in France still, despite everything going on. French players want honest, Arsenal.
Guendouzi's probably said to him, listen, lad, you don't want to go there.
Guendouzi and Saliba again, yeah.
He just needs to get in the bin.
Talking of Guendouzi, like, the reports are saying that Maitland-Niles and Arteta held clear the air talks, which is likely Maitland-Niles has apologised for his actions and whatnot. Why didn't Guendouzi just do that? Why didn't Ozil just do that? They would have probably still played throughout the season.
Well, Ozil's releasing a documentary, haven't you seen?
That'll be extremely one-sided.
It's all about the brand. It's all about the brand for that guy at this point. I
sincerely hope he explains to us why he missed big away games with a back injury.
Pretend.
Or illness.
And also,
how many times he turned up late for training.
And also why his media's being run by Spurs' chairman's nephews. Because you just don't do that.
What could have been with Mezzo somehow.
Right.
So,
just touch on Ozil. People will point and say, but you didn't rate Ozil. I rated Ozil, but once you learn the amount of stuff that he done, that rating goes straight out, because you look at how he ended his career here. It was 2 out of 10s, 4 out of 10s. It was never a 10. It was never an 8. You got very lucky if you got near a 6. So for me, he's just see it as a cash cow, considering his wage.
Well, it seems also that it was punitive. Like, it was very petty. He didn't just want, it wasn't that just he wasn't contributing. He almost seemed like there was very passive aggressive form of sabotage of the club. It's like,
Have you noticed Arsenal have not had any loans this summer?
Makes a
They've
change.
no,
paid for.
and they're out
Bit
there,
weird.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I think we could get Ramsey on loan, McKinney on loan, Renato Sanchez on loan.
I'd take Ramsey on loan because he gives our midfield something different. Winston,
And he's a leader.
yeah,
You
clubman
can score.
as well. And that's one thing that we haven't got in the side is a clubman.
At this point, I'd sign Wilshere on a free.
I hope he gets a move in Italy. He's training out there at the moment, apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently, Birmingham have offered him a 1-year deal.
Yeah, pay as you play
I don't
sort of
want-
deal. Get it. He deserves it.
I don't want to see him at bloody Birmingham City.
No, bad memories there.
Did you see Mustafi signed for Torino?
They're getting
Wow.
relegated.
My son wrote Wilshere an email saying, "Come here to MLS, play at Austin. We have a forward slot open." We were dreaming. It's like I'd go watch Jack Wilshere every week. He'd probably do very well here.
Mm.
I miss watching Jack Wilshere every week.
I miss watching an Arsenal team that's able to string 3 passes together, to be honest.
We had such false hopes after the West Brom game.
I know. It's like, yes, we're going places. No.
Here they are, loan with option to buy 15 million euros for Kamara. Oh, come on. So 15 million pounds will get him outright. They would take it. They don't even want to have loan. Like, here it is. We'll take him. And then we can forget about El Neni. That's the...
I don't understand it, right? Because El Nini
It pains me.
literally has a
Pains
year
me.
left on his contract, and we're not moving to move him or replace him.
Well,
Yet another player.
yeah, how many players are we losing on frees next year? It's just crazy.
Kolasinac, I can't believe he's still
Lacazette, Kolasinac.
there. Eddie.
Yeah, El Nene. It's just
It genuinely wouldn't surprise me if Eddie signs a 1-year contract, goes on loan with an obligation.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
last
fine.
year,
If there's an
right.
obligation, then fine. I just
It can't be option. It literally
No.
cannot be option.
How long left? 5 hours?
Where are we?
just over, yeah.
Yeah,
We're approaching
Um,
5.
5 and 60.
I can't remember Arsenal ever making deals happen this late. I might be wrong.
I'm trying to remember.
Arteta's arrival was right in the last hour. So
Yeah, what was that one a few years ago? Yeah, the merger because Arteta was off and then back on last minute. I know it was on earlier in the day. Ozil
there was
free
another
all
big
day.
big one that was
Park Chu Young came out of nowhere.
Samsonov was really late.
Yeah,
Danny
Wait.
Welbeck.
That was late.
Monreal came around this time in the window, if I believe.
Yeah. That was basically because of Santi Cazorla waking him up. I miss Santi Cazorla.
Oh, I think everyone does. Now I'd have him
Imagine
back
him.
in our midfield.
Imagine
I'd still
him
approach
and
him
Barkley.
like, I know you've got
Club
a
never
dodgy ankle,
recovered
but
from
come
his
on.
injury. Never recovered from his injury. That started the spiral.
I'm just thinking about that midfield. We had Ozil, Ramsey, Wilshere, Cazorla, Riziki. And now look at it.
I'm going back further than that. I'm talking about Vieira, Edu, Parla, Gilberto.
Yeah, Arsenal have always had really strong midfields until now. Last few seasons.
Yeah. Like, even in the days like where we weren't winning anything, you could always go, well, the midfield is class. No one, no other team's midfield is better than ours. But now, I mean,
Yeah, even
Newcastle might have a
between-
better midfield than us.
yeah, between 07 and 12, you had Fabregas, Riziki, Hleb, Flamini, Song, Nasri.
Yeah.
Those sort of players were just the benchmark of Arsenal playing football. Oh wow! Comment in the chat.
I just saw that.
Apparently, Edu and Arteta are falling out, according to Legrove. Hence, there's no clarity on transfers.
I did see
you know
that on
what?
Twitter earlier. Legrove posted it in one of his blogs,
That
but I don't think there's much.
wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know whether there's any basis on it or just adding speculation that we could all put together.
But the thing is, with Legrove, they've been actually defending the club this summer, which is surprising. So it might have some credence to it.
Yeah. As I said earlier, I would be banging on his door trying to strangle him.
I'd just nick his phone, to be honest, and start calling people, going, "Hello, it's Edu." I honestly would.
I don't understand how he's so bad at his job. How did he get the job?
I'll tell you how he got the job, because he's an Arsenal clubman, he's an invincible, and he was going. And they wanted that identity at that time. That's literally the only merit he got this job on.
What can you say that he's done well for us?
Not much.
Partey, that's about it. Really?
It wasn't exactly hard, was it?
I know it
All
weren't.
we had to do is
Go
pay a
put the
release
money in a
clause.
bank, right? Trigger a release clause.
Well, come on, we're saying that
Tierney was a good one.
he can't do much. He can just about put a release clause in a few minutes before deadline. So,
But in terms of sales, it's been an absolute disaster.
I said this to Sam. How much money has he made from sales?
About a 10% of what he should have.
about
45
Maybe
million?
20.
45.
45 million. 20 for Emmy and 25 for Willock. What do you
And
think of the players that have left?
with what, there's
in the last
about
2-3 years?
12, 13 players.
He overvalues his players when he has to sell them.
So you think we lost Ramsey for free, Welbeck for free, Wilshere for free, Cazorla for free, Ozil for free, Alexis for Mkhitaryan. Oh no, that wasn't him. But who else was there? Guendouzi for basically 10. Mavropanos, 6 million. But they're not.
Those are Sven's players.
Are they?
Yeah.
Then that's not yet, is it? Their options, are they not?
Yeah.
So they
Still.
haven't been paid for them. Who else is there?
Mustafi for nothing, right?
Yeah, Willian for nothing. Socrates for nothing. Torreira for nothing. So many players we've lost for nothing that we could have probably...
Apparently are we having a stream issue? We're having a stream issue again. I mean,
Yeah, YouTube is not receiving enough video to make smooth streaming.
whoops.
Let's do a start and restart.
I think YouTube is playing up because my internet is strong. Do you want to restart?
We can go we want to do it 5 minutes from the hour. Let's go
Yeah, why
5 more
not?
minutes and then we'll restart and we'll come back at the top of the hour.
Give us a chance to have a stand up, walk around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting cramp.
All right.
Oh.
I'm going to put it in the chat.
Well, I'll tell you what, boys, I might be going amiss with beers today. I've got a small pack of beer Moretti and a full case of Carlsberg. So
Fair enough.
I will be getting more ranty as the day goes on, probably.
Oh, wow. Antoine Griezmann's move to Atletico Madrid has been reactivated, alone with compulsory purchase option.
Okay. What is that going to trigger, though?
Well, Barca are fairly short up front, aren't they?
Could that get Lacazette to Barca?
We can hope. I say that bad. Like, I hope he doesn't say that.
Even on loan, just send him off. Get his wages off the books.
Yeah, I said to Sam, heard at the start of the window that KSC will finance any transfer as long as we
clear
reduce
space, right? Reduce wages, and he hasn't done it.
No.
It's maddening. Again, Kolasinac still in the squad, and he played against Man City.
That still baffles me to this day.
It infuriates me.
Well, we've got, 5 hours?
4 hours now, right?
It goes to 11, so about 5 hours, 10 minutes.
5:08 on the clock.
Let's just hope Arsenal pull something out their arse. Did you see Newcastle sign Santiago Muniz?
That's the
Yeah,
What's the
great
name?
name.
That brought so many memories. Hey Glenn, remember that game against Fulham?
Well, Newcastle going on to win the Champions League then.
Could you imagine?
Well, if you go back to the second movie, he gets his big move to Real Madrid and then beats Arsenal in the Champions League final. Let's hope that happens.
Right.
Well, actually, not losing the Champions League final.
Good Lord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of my passwords have been compromised in a data leak. Uh-oh. Some of these I use a lot. I've just been warned. Crazy. Crazy.
Are we having a break for food, by the way? I'm gonna need dinner and shit.
I'm going to
let's
take a
do
break
that.
shortly.
Let's take
Should we do that half an hour break or so? I think.
let's take a half-hour break at the top of the hour. We're going to the top of the hour. We'll put it in. All right.
Well, I'm ordering food. Can we do this about 7:30?
I ordered.
You can order now. You want
So
to
this
take
way.
a break from the top of the hour to 30 minutes after?
I might need to dip out because obviously it's the missus as well, isn't it?
Do you want to go about 6:30?
Yeah. So at the top of the hour in 7 minutes, let's take a 30-minute break. Is that good?
So you're gonna have to go and get your food instead of ordering it.
You can fuck off. That food won't be ready by that time. You're mad.
Well, we can carry on until you get back with it.
What's your deadline day food then?
Some Turkish or something or other.
What, hoping that money's funding an El Neni move?
I'm like, go on. Have
All
my
right.
30 quid. Put it towards El Neni. You bastard. I know you're part of Besiktas.
I've ordered peri-peri chicken.
Ooh, that's a shout.
I do love it. It's actually from a place called Pepe's, so love it.
Have we got time to get a crowdfunder to bring in Kamara?
Tom's going to be coming on soon, by the way.
That's right. So
at the half hour, right?
I don't know.
Sam doesn't know much for these days.
Oh, don't, mate.
Arsenal's fried his brain. Forked out for a season ticket.
It's fried all of our.
I'm in the same boat.
So pissed. I was just like, yeah,
tickets are actually available for any game at the moment.
No. I was just like, yes, I'm so optimistic about this summer. And it's like, season ticket, I'm like, fucking grabbing that. And it's like, you cunt.
Yeah, you and me. So it just went, yep, finally get it. It's always sold out. It's hard to get tickets. Even the Chelsea game did not sell out.
In the slightest.
First game back after however many months, full capacity, big London derby.
Nah.
Plenty of tickets available. I believe the Norwich game is more sold out than the Chelsea game, though.
I think that might have something to do with price, though.
Chelsea was it was only about 90 quid a ticket.
Yeah.
90 quid.
My Norwich ticket was £29.50 or something.
Yeah. Yeah. 90 quid to watch us get absolutely ruined playing.
Imagine going to City away 5-0.
At least that was only a 15 quid ticket.
That's not
Ollie did, didn't he? Ollie went to City away.
Where are we meeting, by the way, for Norwich?
I think is Ollie's plan. we'll have to get him on to explain his feelings of watching the City game.
Yeah. We should all get like we'll get a photo together of the Daily Gooner in person. Real life Daily Gooner.
Grass flying over too, right?
I gotta update my passport. All right.
Since you couldn't go to Miami.
Oh God, that still kills me. I had to eat $500 in plane tickets on that.
You're joking.
Nope, it were non-refundable.
Oh.
Yeah, I got the tickets refunded, but not the plane fare.
I bet the tickets were like $70 or something compared to the flights.
Oh yeah, no, it was terrible. The things I do for this club, and how does that you repay me?
Tom's joining and we're leaving in 3 minutes.
It's okay, he's in. Tom is in.
Yeah, Raf, if you ever coming over, we'll sort you tickets.
Okay, I plan on it at some point, but hopefully when things are a little clearer, a little more sorted.
Do you know what? I feel like my life stayed exactly the same whether it was COVID or not. It was only going to Arsenal that changed for me.
What happened here? I'm trying to change my. Here we go. This is what I want. Now I'm going to change like 10 passwords. Oh my God.
Yeah, Jacob, I just see your comment. Arteta's medical was apparently done over the phone when he signed for us.
Yeah, because it was done so late.
I thought they just skipped it, but
yeah, because they can put deal sheets in, can't they?
Yeah.
yeah,
That goes till 1 o'clock in the morning.
it's a 2-hour extension. So you have to have the initial stuff kind of said, this is the fee we're paying the club. This is the kind of wage. I like it's you say what the deal's going to be. It's just not all signed off and stuff yet. So they give you, as long as that's in before the deadline, you've got another 2 hours to complete the deal sheet, which I believe Arshavin wasn't announced until like the morning after, was he?
So like Danny Welbeck as well, wasn't it? He was announced the day after.
Yeah, because at one point I thought the Arshavin deal must have not been done in time. And then it was announced like 8 o'clock the next morning. You're like, oh, okay, there he is.
Yeah, I think what happened in Arteta's case is that he had to go. The chairman didn't want to let him go, and he had to go in person and say, "I want to go." And so they finally, at the 11th hour, literally let him go.
It's Bill Kenwright, wasn't it?
Yeah, the deal got jammed through. Arsene was ruthless there. Said, you come. And he said, okay, I'm coming. So crazy.
Stuart in the WhatsApp group made a very good point. Do you think Kroenke is actually pushing the base cost down? So when he eventually sells, he's selling for profit.
I don't know. I mean, again, if it's Qatari,
Surely the value of the club is going down.
if it's Qatari,